Okay, storyboard time. This is the crossover. This is what this season's all about. But I wanted to do a recap of all the storyboards that Patty's made for us. And to give you just a brief history, we were going for a walk one morning. I had a kind of a strange dream where I saw a girl all dressed in her wedding dress floating in a lake. And I had no idea what it all meant. And bits and pieces of it came to me over time. The basic premise of crossover is two reincarnated souls travel through time, and then when they get done, whenever they've reached a state of perfection or completeness and they meet their soulmate, they have ultimate powers, kind of godlike, but with a little g. And these people, and you see Dieter Schmidt right there in the middle of them, they have been following these type of events. They know about aliens, they know about all the secret dark things about the government. And hey, not just our government, but all governments. They know where all the bodies are buried. They never let any kind of event or crisis go to waste. They know how to use them. And this is how they rule over us. This is the power that they have. These are the ones that believe a few of them can rule all of us for our better good. And this is actually their card. Now, if you have any questions about the crossover, you can email us at writersinthestorm2 at gmail, writersinthestorm2 at gmail.com. And I'm actually using the bad guy's card there. So if you want a copy of the script or any other information or request any other information, you can do it there at the Gmail. But our story starts out with a crossover. This is a boat in the sea, and this is Thomas crossing over that bridge, and this causes a blast. And that blast, once it happens, because Dr. Wilson and all the powers that be are just watching everything, he looks through his notes, if you will, and starts the information going in a basic report. This is Dr. Wilson, and then he authenticates it from his peeps, and he calls Dieter Schmidt and says, hey, we got ourselves another event. And Dieter Schmidt calls these people together, the powers that be, and they talk about whether or not they ought to run it up the flagpole, see if there's more that they need to be following or doing or whatever. So now we go back to the actual park right outside, right shortly after the event, and these two children propose to each other, but mom kicks them out. Because the parents themselves don't get along, and Sarah goes back on her boat. She's leaving, and Thomas obviously is devastated by all this, doesn't understand, but the parents don't get along, and so they kind of split them up. The socialite lady thinks that the Thomas's family is a little ragged, so she doesn't want her daughter associating with them. And Thomas is obviously devastated. He's left looking at the ground at this necklace, and he's sure that the little girl's name is Lily. So we go back to the powers that be, and they're going to run it up the flagpole. They get Dieter gets an okay from all them, and they're going to call a big meeting, and they're going to start following Lily and Thomas, although they're not quite sure where they are, what's going on. They're going to start trying to narrow it down. And now we move 20 years into the future. This is Aaron Eastwood, and Thomas is over there with his arm raised up, and they're just finishing up law school. And as the story goes along, we're going to tell you a little more about them and their background. But basically, Thomas's parents disappeared, and they left Thomas with Aaron and Aaron's family, Aaron Eastwood's family. And these two young men have grown up like brothers. They've lived together since Thomas had this event, a few years after this event. They've lived together. They just went to law school together. This gentleman is a lawyer, and Mr. Nash, and he has showed up to give Thomas the last of his trust fund that his family set up for him, and they're hoping to have enough money to buy this car. But on top of it, this lawyer's invited them to come down to Florida and perhaps get a job as lawyers for their law firm. So they think they've scored big time. They're quite excited. Now we got to go back to the other side Sarah's family, which is basically Lily. And Lily knows the story from the beginning to the end. She understands the event, and she believes her daughter, even though her daughter's been sent to all kinds of psychological head shrinkers, people that are trying to help her deal with what she believes that happened to her when she was a little girl. Lily believes it. She believes it's real. But Sarah, her daughter, who was in the event with Thomas, is trying to go on with her life. And she's met a young man named Donald, and she thinks she's in love with him, and they're going to get married, and she's just trying to go on with her life and put that event that happened some 20 years ago behind her. And so this is Donald, her fiance, at the wedding rehearsal, and Sarah. And then we're going to have him basically tell her, because he is a little inebriated in this scene, that he doesn't want her to be a school teacher teaching kids how to color with crayons. Anyway, he's quite the character. And this is Lily. She's arriving at the wedding rehearsal, and as she gets there, she's in a big hallway or whatever. She's looking for where all this is going to take place. She runs into Donald. She doesn't know who he is yet. This is her getting directions from him. He's on the phone talking to his girlfriend. Yeah, that's Donald. And he has this card in his hand. Lily notices this card in his hand and doesn't think anything of it at the time. But this is Donald and the group that he works for. And so the other thing that Lily notices is the smell of alcohol on Donald's breath as he's talking to his girlfriend, telling her, baby, there's nothing to worry about. This is just part of what I got to do. And what better way to take care of or keep an eye on this young lady for this group than to marry her. And so that's what that's all about in the story. This is Lily meeting with Sarah one more time, saying, are you sure you want to go through with all this? Not giving up on hope. So she's the one tether or string to Sarah's past with Thomas, and she's trying just to keep it alive. And this last in this segment is Sarah's mom schmoozing with Donald's sister because, well, they have power, money, and influence, and that's what Sarah's mom's always been about from the very beginning. Now we're going to switch back over to the other group, and you're going to meet a new character here. This is Laquisha. She's actually waiting at a bus stop in the middle of the night. Originally it was a train station, but it was hard to find storyboards that helped us do that. But this is Laquisha, and she's waiting for Aaron and Thomas to arrive in the middle of the night in Houston, Texas. She gets a little upset about it, but Aaron and Thomas are about to get off this bus here and meet up with Laquisha as I said, in Houston, Texas. And she's a little upset, but of course Aaron Eastwood, who's actually quite a main character in the story there. This does not depict our vision of who Aaron is by any stretch of the imagination. This young man is confident, intelligent, and his father was a police investigator, detective for many years before he also disappeared. But anyway, this is Laquisha meeting them at the bus station again, and she's forgiving her man. And that's what this storyboard depicts. They're all together like a little family, if you will. And this is since Ruth, this new character here, is with Aaron. That is Aaron's mother, Ruth. And Aaron, she raised these two boys together as her sons. And this is just her glad to see her son, glad they're all back together in their family home. Ruth is a pivotal character in the story at this point in time. So we're going to talk a little bit more about her. If you followed the other storyboards that we did in our vlogs, you know this is her arriving at work. She's a researcher at a public library. That's Claire. And then Claire tells her there's this very strange, nervous man that's inside the library. This is him. And Ruth goes and seeks him out, finds him. And this gentleman gives her a report called The Journey of the Gods. And Ruth takes that and goes through different library books. This is back in the 80s, so the internet wasn't really big at the time, but she's basically doing some research, trying to figure out what's going on, where this myth originated and trying to do as much as she can to understand what's going on. Now this is Sarah and Lily one more time, but this is the wedding. This is her prepping for a marriage to Donald. This whole story is about to escalate in a lot of ways, and this is Lily helping her daughter prepare to get married to Donald. And so that's what this scene is all about, them getting her ready for a wedding. And then we're going to go into the next scene or storyboard is Sarah's mother, and she's upset because the flowers and the arrangements and everything that she wanted for her daughter's perfect wedding so that she could impress this Donald's family is just not in order, and she's all upset about it. And this is also an important part of the storyboard or the story. But we're going to move back over to Ruth here, and in this scene it's Claire coming to her and saying, "Girl, why didn't you come with me and go to lunch?" And she's been so caught up in her research about this report that's been given to her, Journey of the Gods, that she's completely spaced that off. And what she's found has upset her a little bit, so she grabs some information that her mother gave her, who is from Egypt, and she goes to a phone booth. Ruth is about to make a phone call that she has never made before to a number she's never called before that was given to her by her mother, in case things start to escalate and she's confused about what's going on. And this is her going into the phone booth, and this card says, "We are the many, they are the few," with a picture of her and her mom when she was a little girl. And the number she was given to call in case of emergency. She makes this phone call. She's shocked that when she calls, instead of somebody saying hello at the other end or a business name or anything, they immediately go Ruth. And she pauses for a minute and realizes things are real. And the people on the other end of the line tell her the report is real and to be very cautious, give her some other advice. She returns to the library. You'll find all kinds of police cars and Claire out front saying, "When you left, strange things happened in the library, and a guy is found dead on one of the upper floors of the library." And she looks over when they wheel him out and notices this is the nervous man that was in the library earlier that she got the report from. So she takes a report and everything, panics, heads home, because the game's afoot, guys. Things are about to explode all over the place, and she's starting to realize it. And then wants to go home and find Aaron and Thomas, in particular Thomas, because he's the other side of the crossover with Sarah. And this is Dieter, and they're closing in. They're starting to figure out and find out what's going on because they followed the man to the library, and they realize that Ruth is an integral part, that she's bringing them closer to Thomas. And this is Dr. Schmidt, or excuse me, Dieter Schmidt, talking to his thug that's just taking care of the nervous man. And as I said, we're about to have a big crossover, a new one, another blast, and things are about to escalate. And so I just wanted to take a moment and say thanks so far for watching this. This is part 1 of our storyboards. We have a lot more to come. The story is going to expand Ruth and her family, and Thomas's role, and especially Aaron's role, is going to increase because he's going to have to man up and be more like his pop. So more about that. Keep watching. We appreciate you. Like and subscribe, and hopefully this will bring you up to date. Again, if you have any questions, you have my email. Thanks for watching, guys. Look forward to talking to you again.